Well, the men set the Wang Tong Tani sports complex alight, and now the women are going to do probably even more, I should think, after their stunning team performance. This is the start list, and you can see as we run down through it, the way that the whole layout of this event works is that each group moving around has got some of the top performers in it, so any particular apparatus we decide to visit is going to bring you the same high quality and exciting action. A lot of bets are on the Chinese to do a clean sweep like they did in the team operation. Japan, we know, are going to be looking back and fighting hard at that, but we also have a lot of eyes looking at Kazakhstan and Korea and Uzbekistan, because they really did produce some tremendous results. So we join in now with Un Hui Son, 17 years of age, and she's on the uneven bars or the asymmetric bars. Change of grip there. That's very good view of over and under grip as she changes over to the bars. The judge is looking here very much for swinging, continuous movements, and it should include movements in both directions, and obviously then a really good dismount. And that's what I mean by really good dismount. So Son Un Hui, not massive degree of difficulty there. She's quite a petite little thing, 1.45 meters, and she's only 36 kilos. They adjust the bars to accommodate that, but it means that a lot of the really big moves are outside her scope and capabilities. There's been actually a little bit of talk about the Koreans bringing their lady team members who look younger than the minimum age of 16. I wouldn't like to comment on that, but you can make your own judgments as we proceed here. But that was a lovely laid out back, and just a little bit of bend at the waist, but a nice landing from Son Un Hui. So we get our marks from the judges, several judges positioned to check this one out. 9.2, so that's a good mark for the young Korean. And we move on now to the beam, one of the stars everyone's expecting so much from. Wan Yuan Kui from Beijing in China. She's just 17, and she came third after the team. A little bit unsteady on the bar there. She's going for quite a big routine here. Once again, the judge is looking for complete and utter confidence, a lot of basic moves, and then into complicated tumbling like that, and she's lost it. Complete misjudging her positioning on the bar, and that is a massive surprise. Well, maybe these Chinese are fallible after all. How these youngsters get back up there and do it again in front of such a big crowd. It's 5,000 capacity here. It's not particularly... Oh, and she's not comfortable, is she? You notice she got her right ankle strapped much more strongly, and she's done it this time. That's how she should have done it first time, and to get the confidence back is extraordinary. Look at her. That is amazing concentration. There've been a few injuries. The Chinese actually came here injury-free, and some of the more local teams were worried that they've been pushing their youngsters too hard. Well, she's going for quite an extraordinary routine, and a lot of it's not paying off. Well, everyone cheers her on. The music you can hear. Oh, well, that's a good dismount. Nice little back tucks, and where's all the smiling faces we saw the other day? Interesting. Have a look at this, right on the end of the bar. She's got to get bags of spring, and there you go. She very nearly, she's lucky she didn't catch herself a bit more nastily than that. The The problem is, I think, if you've got a bad ankle like that, you're not going to get the spring off the bar, and this is a solid piece of equipment. So all the spring comes from the ankles, the feet, the knees, the legs, and if you don't get the height, you can't get the rotations. It's 8.775, and you would have expected her to get well, over 9 anyway. Now then, this could be the young lady who shows the world what Kazakhstan can do. 20 years of age. Strong, powerful. She's not a dainty little gymnast like we're used to seeing, but that's the sort of power she can produce with those twisting somersaults in her first diagonal routine. Irina Yevdokimova has put in some great performances the last few days. She came 4th after the women's team event, and the judges will consider this an absolute maximum degree of difficulty, and the confidence that she's landing it. She's one of the few women actually who is really getting the air enough to give her the room to perform the somersaults and the twists and then land them properly, which is what it's all about. Now the artistic elements, little pirouettes and arabesques are all part of what is required by the judges. They set out the minimum requirements and then you can embellish them. This is a minimum one, that is an embellishment, and she lands it beautifully. Irina Yevdokimova. Now, it's extraordinary really. The floor and the asymmetric bars were her best events in the women's team. Have a look at this a bit closely. She generates so much power, and in the air she's twisting really quickly, keeping her legs tight, keeping her arms tight to accelerate into those lateral twisting movements. 9.725, and that is a massive score. Well, we move back to the beam, and Oksana get that right in a minute, Chozovitina, pretty much the veteran of the Uzbekistan team. She's 23 years of age, but bringing all that experience together is surely going to be a benefit to the team. She came 7th after the women's event, and the beam was not one of her best. Her floor exercises were brilliant, and her vaulting was brilliant. Well, a little bit of a wobble, but if you're going for an unaided double front, then you might expect it. I think the judges here seem to be looking for the big moves, the high degree of quality, and if there's a little wobble at the end of it, at least it means that the gymnasts are trying. Ooh, that's a bit too much of a wobble, I'm afraid. She's going to start losing big marks now. And she's lost a lot of her confidence. You can see she should be looking straight ahead, not looking down at the beam, and eyeing the judges and the audience straight in the eye. That's the mark of confidence of anyone on the balance beam. Right, now, can she redeem herself with what will be probably her final dismount? Lovely back tuck, and she does. But one wonders whether, and she's wondering, you can tell, whether she's done enough, really. That was nice, though. Nice back tuck, marked it out nicely. She's another one who's got a right angle, strapped up there. 9.075. She just crept in over the 9. Juan Liu. And she mounts the asymmetric bars with a nice run up, just using the shorter bar. The higher bar is 2.45 meters, the lower bar is 1.65. Wasn't that lovely? She came off giving a backward demount from that into the straddle as she takes the over grip, and now she starts winding up, changing direction, The judges like to see a lot of changes of grips and a lot of changes of direction, but without slowing down any of this momentum. And an excellent dismount as well. Chuan Yu from China, comes from Hunan. She's 19 years of age. World Cup finalist as well. And of course, China, the world team champions at the moment. And after the women's team event, she had the second highest scores to qualify. 24 of the women from the team event qualified through for this individual all-round. And this is where she belies her height and weight by really laying out, getting her head back and spotting out that landing perfectly. So good performance for her. 9.775, and the Chinese march on. It looks as if this 13th Asian Games is going to be a repeat performance. Let's take a look at Ji Ling now, her teammate taking her first vault. She's one of the youngsters. It's only her second major competition here. Only 16 years of age and a minute 33 kilos, but she can fly. Oh, and that's a dreadful landing. That's a dreadful landing. And let's see if we can see what went wrong. A little misgrip. Well, I don't know. She just didn't get enough height, did she? I thought maybe she'd placed her hands just a little out of line on that vault. 8.7. It's not good enough. It's not what you expect from these world-class, top of the world-class young gymnasts. She gets a second crack. The judges average out the scores and then put in the degree of difficulty quotient. Right, Ji Ling, one more go. Come on, make it work. Now that's better. She still didn't get enough height, and she's got a left ankle as well. I'm wondering whether this brilliant performance in the team's event, and she knew she wasn't going to make it because you saw her break her lay and she went into more of a pike shape to even land that at all. I'm wondering whether all of the effort, well, 8.775 is all she gets out of that one. Right. Well, maybe that leaves the door open for the Japanese. Risa Sugawara from Tokyo goes to the Nippon Sports Science University. Her mother is her coach, and her other coach is Hiroko Miyashita, who also is a sports coach and teacher at the Nippon Sports Science University. She's 21 years of age, weighs 42 kilos, 1.5. The perfect height and build and power for this sort of women's gymnastics. Oh, that's lovely. Look at the confidence there. Risa Sugawara, hands into a half twist. She comes onto the vault in a nice forward position and then does the half twist, and her flight out was great. Now take a look at it from this angle. You see a half twist in, half twist out, and then into the double with a half twist as well. And she gets 9.175 for her first vault. Now, if she can improve on that, she could move her way up. Slightly different that time, a slightly different vault, slightly easier. And you can see absolutely straight in this time, and then the double pike out. It's 1.5 pike out, actually. And she won't score quite as highly, look, 8.975, but it was like a safety net, really, giving her 9.075. So let's look. China, Kazakhstan, Japan, Korea, and Korea at 5. Well, the second rotation looks as if it's going to prove as exciting as the first rotation. This is Yevdokimova, who is one of the stars of today, and that's the reason why That beautiful laid out dismount or end to her, taking the easy way out. That's straight in. It's not a very high degree of difficulty, but it seems to be landing them that's important, and she's been doing this all along. She's been going for slightly less difficult. Look, 9.250, but by landing them properly, she's keeping herself out of trouble, not putting herself under too much stress, and picking up those marks. And consistently she's moving through all of the disciplines. In the teams event, she got over 9 in every discipline. So although her best disciplines were floor and asymmetric bars, she also got over 9 in vault and on the beam. A different vault this time. She went for the half back flip onto the vault. Look at this. There's the twist back and then a half out. Spotting it just as well. Now the judges will allocate a higher degree. Well, she gets marked down a bit for that. She's surprised too. Can you see that? 9.175. That surprised me. I would have thought that would have been about 9.3, something like that. Now then, Chusovitina had that problem, didn't she? On the beam. We now see her for Uzbekistan on the floor. Scored well over 9 for her team. Oh, and that's the reason why in the team event, very, very experienced. Came 4th in the Uzbekistan Cup this year, 2nd in the Bosphorus Cup, and she's a former Olympian as well. You can just tell by looking at her, it's the poise and the confidence. And this is where she excels. Fantastic rebounding back into the single just to make sure of a good look for the judges. And once again, you know, it's supposed to be very graceful, but she's putting a lot of speed into the performance and not faltering, no indecision at all. And the Phantom of the Opera is her chosen music. Great, putting a twist in the middle of that somersaulting straight into the straddle and bouncing from front lie to back lie onto her knees, and that's a good one. Chusovitina, quite a high degree of difficulty. You can see it's taken out of her. She's fit as a fiddle though. Look at this. There's the half twist, standard stuff this, then double back pike, lands it beautifully, jarring up through the body, but it doesn't affect her. Chusovitina, 9.450, and Uzbekistan is now nibbling at the heels of the girls in blue and yellow. Juan Liu, 2nd after the women's team event. She was superb on the beam. She was fantastic on the asymmetric bars. Let's see if she can repeat that performance on the beam now. They've got to now. The standard is so high from the following pack. Lovely straddle lift into a perfectly controlled upright. Haven't seen that that move before. Very similar to the mat movements, just the swivels, the steps. Now she's lining up for something spectacular. That's fantastic, and she landed it beautifully. She's got a 9.850 in the women's team event, and this is the sort of reason why. Fantastic, doing that quarter twist into that handstand. And it really does just show the judges a different side, a different profile, lovely arch back. And these required basic moves give the athletes time to compose and prepare themselves. Quite comfortable with the arabesques and these basic moves. You'd think if you put your hand across the TV screen, you weren't looking at the beam, you think she'd be doing it on a flat floor, on a football field. She's so confident. Here she goes now, dismount, double back tuck, little bit unsteady, but she's got that confident smile on her face. Here we go, look. That was the move, slightly off the centre line on her last somersault. 9.850, that's amazing. That's exactly the same as her beam score in the women's team event. So she charges on, regardless. Now, Risa Sugawara is going on the asymmetric bars, the uneven bars now. She had a very good score in the team event for this, and she showed so much confidence and dynamism. Did you see the way she came off that top bar there? Lovely body shape, and she was absolutely positive she was going to make it. Now let's just keep it going. As many body positions and changes of grasp as you can. Perfect. Most of the girls are using that. Winding up now, get the pendulum moving, and well, another fantastic performance from Sugawara. Her name is Risa, and she's the rising star certainly here. Degree of difficulty, I wouldn't think it was quite as high as some of the Chinese, but as she did in the vault, she'll be looking to make sure that whatever she does perfectly. And then the judges won't have any cause to mark her down. You really do see, yeah, a little bit. She just lost it a bit in that half twist. It's very difficult. It's easier to do a full twist, really. 9.475. Oh, that's the way to mount. Another strapped leg, you'll notice. This is Svetlana Bakridinova from Uzbekistan. She's 17. And she's picked up a few bruises and scrapes so far. 46 kilos, and I would think it must be very distracting having your calf muscle strapped up like that, and she's finding it difficult because she's trying to compensate for her left leg. And you see when she landed there, we'll probably see a slow-mo of it later. When she lands, she's doing it again there. She's trying to take more weight on her right leg than her left. And how's this going to go for her? I do feel for these youngsters when they've picked up injuries in an event like this, because they've got to keep it going for the whole week. There's more to come yet. Well, she's doing very well, isn't she? She did well on the beam. She scored over 9 in the women's team event. She ended up 6th after that event, with the 6th highest score to see her through to this individual all-round event. Nice dismount will do it, and once again I think her foot let her down a bit. So although the degree of difficulty was quite high there, I think it's going to be a little bit unfortunate for the second contentious Uzbekistan woman gymnast. Glad it's over. Very friendly, there's none of this. Let's have a look. You see how she's just trying to keep weight off that left leg. The music in the background for... No, you see, it's so hard. I don't know how she maintained her balance there, to be honest. So she will be marked down quite a long way. 9.125. She could have pulled a 9.6 if she hadn't had that problem. So after the second rotation, we still have Xuan Lui in first place, Kazakhstan Yevdokimova in second, Sugawara in third. So we take a short break now, and we'll be back with rotation 3. And are the Chinese going to hold on to it or not? It's going to be interesting, because she just didn't land that again, did she? She was going for the big double off the vault. And the judges gave her 9.4. And she's got to try and improve that in the second vault. She's been working very hard in the World Cup this year and producing some brilliant vaults. No, it must be that ankle. She just hasn't been able to get the height. I mean, this is the young lady who in the Swiss Cup in Zurich came first in the World Cup in vaulting. And she just hasn't got it, and it's nothing to do with her performance in the air at all. She's got fabulous form in the air, so it must be her takeoff and spring. She goes away with 9.250, and she'd have been expecting 9.6, 9.6 and a bit. So this really is leaving the door open for the other countries like Kazakhstan and maybe even Korea to make a bit of a move there, and of course Japan, poised, very much like Xuan Lui, who's poised, ready for her floor routine. And I love to see her vault here. I mean, that was fantastic, but she just lost her landing. She's got to concentrate and pull it all together now. No, once again, her body was still twisting as she came out of the somersault, and that meant it was very difficult for her to maintain a good landing position if she's still corkscrewing round. In the team event, she watch this. In the team event, she didn't get her. That's better that time. She didn't post the best scores on the floor, to be frank, and she still came out the second highest out of all the women. Notice the women these days are using these big orchestral pieces instead of a single sort of tinkling piano, which used to be the format, the preferred musical background. A bit more dramatic now. That's better. Well, the judges will have liked that ending. It shows that she can get through adversity with confidence, and that shows a depth of talent and experience. So that was a bit of made that one as the judges worked through it. 9.825. Fantastic. They felt the degree of difficulty, and the achievement was enough for her, and that's going to make her pretty much unassailable, I would have thought. Extra sort of 0.3, 0.4 above anybody else at that stage. This is Yuki Ohata from Saitama. She's still a high school student in Japan, and she's part of this Japanese assault on this Asian Games. And she's looking very dynamic on these isometric bars so far.